So what happens on OxyContin is a perfect example. They, the Sacklers, they owned a British company, and there was a woman who was looking to create hospice care, which we now know everybody has hospice care, but at that time it didn't exist. And what was stopping her from doing it was she needed a long-acting painkiller, because you couldn't send people home to die if you had to give them a drip of, the equivalent of heroin every 4 hours. The Sacklers came up with it. They invented it. They found a 12-hour time-release form of morphine. Big thing. Then over in the United States, they said, you know what? Morphine's got a bad name. People think of morphine, they think of end of life. So no one's going to take a 12-hour morphine pill. So they put in OxyContin, which is a painkiller, and they market it as OxyContin. Now you say, what did they market it just to addict hundreds of thousands of people and kill them? No. But what they did is they over-marketed it. So they're approved for a few specific purposes, and then they start to send their salespeople out and say, by the way, it's pretty good for back pain. Hey, osteoarthritis, it might help you for osteoarthritis. Guess what? They tested for osteoarthritis PBD before the FDA. It didn't work for that, but they're still selling it for everything. They oversold it. Doctors start to sell it. They set up pill clinics. So the disgraceful part about OxyContin was that the FDA gave Purdue a part of the label. On the label, you look at the label, it said likely to be less addictive because they thought it's a 12-hour pill, not taking it every 4 hours. So it makes sense in common sense. If you think about it, maybe if you're not taking it as often, it may not be as addictive. But guess what? They had no studies to show that. So they allowed them to put that on the label. It's a big selling item, right? Wow. Oh my God. They went to doctors and they said, by the way, we have a less addictive product, which it wasn't at all.
Who allowed, was it a lobbyist?
FDA. No. So
did somebody lobby to get the FDA?
The Sacklers did it themselves. They worked that. They were there. Richard Sackler, the sons, the grandson of Arthur Sackler, they worked it before the FDA. By 2000 and 2001, 5 years after it's released, there are reports already in the New York Times and the local press and everything else, because where did the Sacklers start to sell it? They didn't sell it in New York City. They didn't sell it in Santa Monica, where you were for a while. They didn't sell it in San Bernardino or wherever else. They went ahead and they sold it in Appalachia. They said, you know what? We think there's a real market there. And you know why? These are people who are working blue-collar jobs. They're working tough jobs in mines and in fields and everything else. They're in pain. They've got real pain. We can help to sell this and alleviate pain. And they start to sell it in little towns in Kentucky, little towns moving up through all the way through the Appalachian Belt. There are pharmacies that have towns that are 7,500 people, and they're getting 12 million pills.